day. Another day they get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Hands for it, I'm bills for it, pondering, whoa, whoa. Hands for it, I'm bills for it, pondering. I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today. Another day they get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Hands for it, I'm bills for it, pondering, whoa, whoa. Hands for it, I'm bills for it, pondering.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Between the Lines presented to you by Livewire Sports. Today's guest is a very special guest, Miss Kristene Kelly. Kristene, how you doing today?
Hey, Shaq was good. VI massive. Right.
I love it. So that takes away from my first question. So that's really crazy. But where are you from?
Clearly, I'm not from St. Thomas because I don't speak like that. But I was born and raised in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Shout out to the Williams Delight Massive.
Oh, okay. There we go. I loving it. I loving the energy already. Well, welcome back to the Virgin Islands. Even though you're not here with us, you always are welcome home here in the Virgin Islands with us here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Now let's talk a little bit about you growing up. Now, did you play any sports growing up?
I did. I'll let you take a guess. What sport do you think I played?
Basketball.
No, I played softball, believe it or not. So I was
softball. I would have never guessed that, but I'm a softball coach, so I feel really bad. And my girls that are watching are probably disappointed in me. But
oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yes, softball. That's what I played.
Now, did you play softball all the way up until high school and into college?
Yes. So believe it or not, I actually didn't start playing softball till probably my, I don't know, maybe ninth grade year, somewhere in that range. Maybe ninth grade. And ended up playing on the Virgin Islands national team that took us to Normal, Illinois, where we represented the entire Virgin Islands on a national team playing people like Australia, Italy, and people like that. So that's when, I really got into softball. Like I'm talking woman league, girls league, school league, rec league. You name it, I played all of it. So when I ended up going to college, I wasn't recruited to play softball because a lot of us aren't really recruited back then in the mid 90s. You weren't really recruited to play softball. Like you just went to school, and if you made the team, you made the team. And that's what happened. And I worked my way up to being captain of the team by the time my junior year came.
Now, see, with you being a softball lover, you would love the time the Virgin Islands is going through right now. There's a big boost in the wave of softball players that are playing and making it to the next level. So it's a great time to be a softball player in the Virgin Islands. Trust me.
And are we talking fast pitch, right? The fast pitch softball. Definitely. Yes, that is exciting. And I'm telling you, listen, if I can help somebody get to a school, and if they're good now, they got to be good. You can't come up here and say you from the Virgin Islands and you ain't about that life.
Right.
It's hard on a college level, but if I can help somebody, trust me, I will, especially a softball player. Yeah.
So now was softball your first sport ever?
Yes, it was. Sport, yes. My parents had me in dance and, that kind of stuff. But in terms of sports, softball was it. Yeah, my sister wanted me to play volleyball. But believe it or not, I was a tomboy. And I did not want to wear them little shorty, tight up pants. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I refused to do it. So that's why I didn't play volleyball. But softball was my thing. That was my sport.
So you waited until ninth grade to play. What made you decide to play in ninth grade?
You know what? I don't even know what happened. I really don't know how I got involved, but I did. I don't know if it was something to do. I don't even know. I really don't even remember. I have a really bad memory, but I ended up loving it. So shout out to Kleber Titus, who was a fireman up in Richmond Fire Station in East St. Croix. And he worked with me. Because all of other girls had been playing for donkey years. They had been playing for a long time. So I got out there and he was working with me to get me better. And then, I guess I ended up becoming a pretty good player.
It might be that whole thing where, all your friends are doing it, so it's fun to do it too. A lot of good athletes play sports because of their friends, honestly, and they develop that love and that passion, and it just drives them to keep going. So it might be that.
It could be. It could have been that, but it was. I mean, because like volleyball was like the time when I was growing up. Volleyball and basketball were big for girls to play. Softball wasn't really big. Like you played it recreationally, but not necessarily like I want to be really good and go to college to do this. So, but I mean, I think that group of us did really well. I mean, there were several of people who went to like South Carolina State, Johnson C. Smith, just other institutions, and did really well from a softball perspective there. So I was really excited to be a part of such a strong team.
That's great to hear. Now, tell us about you growing up. What schools did you go to over in St. Croix?
St. Croix. So anyway, like I just love St. Croix. Like that's just like my heart is there. But anyway, so I started at St. Patrick's Catholic School. I was a Catholic school girl and went to my son. My son just came home from school. Sorry. And then I went to St. Joseph High School and did that for 2 years. And I begged my mother and parents to let me go to Central High School. And my mother was like, no child of mine going to no public school. And I begged and begged and begged. My father used to always say, you should be a lawyer because you will not take no for an answer. And I literally, Shaq, believe it or not, I tried to go register myself to transfer from St. Joseph to Central. And when I went, like I got all my documents, I went to the Department of Education to register myself. And the woman who was working there happened to be my brother-in-law's sister. And she called my mother and was like, Chrissy is here trying to register. They call me Chrissy, trying to register herself for school. I really think y'all need to let her go to Central High School. So that's how I ended up in Central, and I spent my last 2 years there.
Now, just the fact that you went as far as trying to register yourself, I'm pretty sure that's why your parents decided to let you go, because you're going to go to that length to go to a school, you must really want to do it. So,
and I didn't know what I was getting into. I mean, I had been private school, Catholic school from kindergarten all the way through 10th grade. So I get to 11th grade. And so all of our classes at the private school are very small. Like it's the same 10, 12 kids every year, maybe 15. And then you get to St. Joseph and it's double that because now you have St. Patrick's and St. Mary's elementary school converging into St. Joseph. So now your class went to maybe 40 people. And then you get to Central and it's 150 people in your class. And you're like, this is a lot. I mean, it was totally different for me, for real. But it was a really good experience.
Now, coming from a smaller setting as a Virgin Islands and coming from private school, which was small already, how was college for you when you had to adjust to bigger class sizes?
Ooh, so that's where Central came into play, because from an academic foundation, and let me be clear, I'm not saying that public schools did not have the academic foundation, because they did. But academically at St. Patrick's and St. Joseph, I knew the work. I knew how to keep up with the work and all of that. So academically, I was prepared and I was fine. Socially, if I did not go to Central, it would have been a huge struggle for me in college, because at the private school, you there's no skipping class, there's no missing class, there's nothing like that. You don't do your homework, they sending you home with a homework slip to your parents and all of that. At Central, it was like you got to be accountable for your own self. So with that, I mean, I ain't gonna tell you the number of classes I skipped in 11th grade, but I knew what I needed to do to be academically good and not like fall below the threshold. So I would say those two experiences together really helped me when I got to college, socially and academically. But the difference, and I'll tell you this, Shaq, was the hardest thing was in the Virgin Islands, we all are one. What are you, white, black, Hispanic, Arabic, whatever, we all Virgin Islanders. When I got to college and I went to historically Black college, it was like all these different cliques. Like the people from DC don't like the people from Florida, who didn't like the people from California. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on here? We all supposed to be one, right? So that was like my biggest type of aha moment when I got to college.
It's definitely a big culture shock when you get to the States and you realize like all you have is your VI people at the end of the day. And you could come from the Virgin Islands and not be friendly with somebody, but as soon as I get together and it's are you against the wall, the best friendships are created. Definitely.
That's why I hate every time I hear the strippiness about St. Thomas to get this and St. Croix don't get that and and all this rivalry back and forth. I'm like, when you get to the States, ain't no all man for themselves, all Virgin Islanders for each other. Like you from the Virgin Islands, I don't care if you're from St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, BVI, you VI, we VI, we all VI together. So I definitely, that's why I went out to see that foolishness. I'm like, man, I need to stop with that for real.
Definitely. Now, were you able to play college softball?
I did. So I played my freshman year. Well, I played freshman. Well, I'm sorry. I did not play my freshman year. And I know we're going to probably, I'm sure at some point we'll talk about eligibility, but I was not eligible my first year because no counselors in St. Croix taught us about eligibility and the test scores you needed to have and all of that. So I took the SAT one time and I ain't gonna lie, I was partying the night before and didn't even know. I went to like some jam and I'm sure jam band was in town. And I did not study for the test. I didn't do anything like that. My mother woke up and she was like, don't you have a test that you need to be taking today? I was like, oh, yeah. And I literally went and took it and did not do well at all. And I just took it once and that was it. So I didn't understand all of the eligibility requirements. So with that being said, I wasn't eligible my first year, but I played my sophomore, junior, and senior year. Yep.
Now, it's interesting that you brought up the fact that we don't really focus on what can allow athletes to play, because we had a guest on twice this year who was a college career counselor that spoke to our platform about the grades and the test and when you should register. So we definitely want to push that out there to let student athletes know that you have to be a student first. You have to make it in the classroom. You have to do the correct things in order to get onto the field. So we definitely promote the classroom a lot here when it comes to live wire sports. Definitely.
Good. That's great, because too many times people don't understand what the requirements are. They're like, oh, well, I have a 3.0. But guess what? Do you have a 3.0 in your core courses? Core meaning your English, your math, your science, those types of things. They don't give a rat's tail about what you got in PE and art and all of that. They want to know, those core courses, do you have this certain GPA in that? So, but you have to break that down to them and you have to start early. I mean, the NCAA has become very strict on a lot of these rules and regulations, and some people just don't, they just don't understand it. So it's tough, you know?
All right, so jumping back in, you talked about this national team experience, and we're not going to let you just mention that and just like walk away from it. You sound like you had a great time with them. What was it like competing at the highest level for your country?
Listen, I don't think I realized it then, because in my mind, it was just, I'm just playing softball. I'm just playing the sport that I'm playing. But as I have progressed in my career and realizing what it means to represent your country, I'm like, wow, that, you know what, that was pretty good. And that was in 1994. I was 14, I think at the time, 14 or 15. Maybe I wasn't 15, I was 14. And it was just an amazing experience. And the thing is, all of us were from St. Croix. So it was like we represented the Virgin Islands, but all of us were from St. Croix. So we had like no St. Thomas, no St. John members. But I'm telling you, we were a good team. We just weren't as strong as these other countries. So imagine playing the United States of America. So you're taking, I don't know, let's say 100 girls and you're breaking them down into like 15 people that's qualified to represent the country. Whereas America is taking 600,000 people and breaking it down to the top 15 people. So obviously they had a lot more people. We played Italy, the Chinese, Taipei, and Australia were the three people we played, but there was everybody from the United States of America. I mean, these people went on to become Olympians, and it was just an amazing experience. And I had the first hit. I was so excited.
Now, what was it like to see a lot of these other countries who were more passionate about their sports or put a little bit more effort in than we do here sometimes?
It's the thing is, they have their Olympic committees, they have their, national governing bodies that help them kind of create this experience and realizing how much sport can mean to them. So imagine all these people that are going to the United States and playing the sport that they love, but their countries are investing in them and investing in that sport. We have to do the same thing. Like we just don't. I know like our Virgin Islands basketball national teams have been doing pretty well lately over the last few years. And I know you have coaches like Tang and Jareem Dowling, at least on the boys' side. And then on the girls' side, I know like Clint and, others who have been very helpful, and they're college coaches at the highest level. So they know what they're looking for. But I want the Virgin Islands to be able to invest in our young people. You know, Polly Joseph Stadium used to be a place that would host all these like Carifta tournaments for baseball and all of that. And now like Polly Joseph Stadium has been torn down and they ain't been rebuilt since. So what are we doing to really help these students to develop and really be able to help them, you know, progress on in their lives? So I would love to see the Virgin Islands put more and invest more into sports, into youth sport.
And I think that's a step we have to take. They're not going to appreciate it until they see the amount of people that are really here make it. But my thing is, if you don't invest in us, like, why would we want to bring anything back to the community? Exactly. Like, if my parents, I would give anything to my parents because they invested in me. So it's the same thing with the community. The community give to the athletes, they're going to want to give back. They're going to want to bring people here. They're going to want to do things in the community. But if you don't invest in them, they won't invest in their own community either. Exactly. So I don't blame them.
I agree 100% with that.
Now, when did you realize that playing sports wasn't the only way to be involved with sports?
I honestly, if I think back on it now, right? So remember I told you my sister wanted me to play volleyball, and I was like, I ain't wearing no tight up little pants and all of that. So I used to actually work at Central High School behind the counter selling popcorn. And I had more of a mind about working the concession stands than it was like playing basketball or playing volleyball or anything like that. So I would say it started then, but without me even realizing it. So then I get to college, and remember I told you that first year I wasn't eligible. So I was working on the back end of things. I was still traveling with the softball team, which now I realize is probably not the right thing to do. It's probably an NCAA violation, but we're 20 years down the road, right? So who cares? 24 years down the road. But I was traveling with the softball team, and I was doing stats for the volleyball team and the basketball team, and one thing led to another. So I was always on the back end of things, at least that first year. And I'm like, oh, wow. So this is how this to happen. How do you travel? How do you come up with schedules? How do you expense report? How do you how do you get buses to come? How do you know who you plan? Like, how do you get uniforms? How do you get coaches? So I was really like into it and learned a lot about it. So it started at Central High at the concession stand, but then it went to Johnson C. Smith being a work study student in the athletics department. And then it just kind of progressed from there.
Now, while we're talking about where it progressed, what is your current career?
Meaning like, what do I do?
Yes, what do you do?
Okay. So I am now the deputy, so it's a long title, okay? So I'll tell you that first. I am now the deputy athletic director for internal affairs and the senior woman administrator at Vanderbilt. So what the heck does all of that mean? What that means is I am one of the head honchos, for lack of a better term. So there's an overall athletic director, and then there are two deputy athletic directors, one who deals with external relations, so fundraising, development, marketing, communications, and then what I do on the internal side of things, anything that's student facing. So everything from athletic training, sport oversight, sports psychology, strength and conditioning, mental health awareness, Title IX, you name it. I handle all of that on the internal side of things. So that's what I do.
Now, I think it would have been easier if I asked you what you don't do, because that amount of things that you just listed has my mind going in circles right now. That's crazy. You do a lot for a short title. All right, that short title does a lot more than I expected.
And the good thing though, Shaq, is so I oversee those areas, but there are people who run the areas. So like, I'm not an athletic trainer, but I oversee athletic training. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, but I oversee strength and conditioning. So it's more of like the administrative level, but then there's people boots on the ground who actually do like the nitty gritty of it.
Definitely. Now, how did you get this opportunity to work at Vanderbilt and be the deputy athletic director? Let me get it good.
That's all right. You could just say deputy AD. That may be a little bit faster for you. God is good, let me tell you, because I was at Dartmouth College, an Ivy League school, which, again, a Virgin Islander working in the Ivy League that's a whole nother ball game there. But I was doing well. I had just gotten promoted and was doing well. And a good friend of mine reached out to me and she said, hey, Candace, who's the new athletic director at Vanderbilt, she was in the role that I'm in now. And when she got promoted to athletic director, she needed somebody to replace her. So she kind of put feelers out there to say, all right, I'm going to have this position open. Do you know of anybody? And this is the one time when I'm telling you, you want to be able to have people in your corner that speak for you, even when you're not in the room. And this person said to Candace, I can give you a short list of people, but the only person you need to hire is Kristene Kelly. And that's how the conversation went. And then one thing led to the other. And then here I am.
All right, so I'm pretty sure she's invited to every Thanksgiving from now on, right?
That's my girl. Like, I love her to death. But again, you always want to be in a place where people speak for you, even when you're not in the room and they're willing to drop your name and they can. But part of that is you have to do the work. And people, because people ain't gonna put their names on you if you're not going to be able to represent them well and do the work. So if I didn't do the work, if she didn't see me and see the things that I was able to do, she would have never recommended me. So to my Virgin Islands people who are listening to this, you've got to do the same thing. You got to do the work. And I'm telling you, you do the work, you live with integrity, you live with, fulfill your character, who you are, your reputation, because those things precede you. So you want when people are speaking to you, speaking about you, that they could speak about you confidently. I will recommend anybody, particularly from the Virgin Islands, but you got to do the work. So don't send me no people that ain't gonna do the work, because then you're messing with my name. So with that being said, that's the same thing with her. I knew I need to do the work, and the work that I'm doing, and she recognized that and recommended me for a position.
All right, that's good that your work speaks for itself. But like you said, it's also great to have people who believe in you and support you. So
absolutely,
definitely a big shout out to her. You can say her name one more time. Give her a shout out.
So the person who recommended, and I've never said this publicly, but the person who recommended me, her name is Anne-Marie Guglieri, and she is the deputy AD at Yale University.
Wow, hey, there we go.
She's big time now. She is big time, but she is amazing. But my boss is Candace Lee, who is also a Black woman. So you have two Black women in leadership positions at Vanderbilt University. You don't see that happen very often, okay, definitely. At all. So it's big.
There's another thing for our young ladies to look up to now, seeing especially somebody coming from here in the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Who is in a top management position that involves sports. So there's your love and everything all in one in that situation. So definitely could be an inspiration for some young ladies that we have here in the Virgin Islands.
Absolutely.
Now, how long have you been in this field?
Ooh, wow. So I would say, if you're not including the time that I was a student, so I'm coming up on 20 years.
Wow.
I know. I don't look that old, right? I still look a little young.
Now, I heard you mention a couple of different schools.
Yeah.
What schools did you attend and what degrees did you receive on your way up the ladder?
Okay. So I started at Johnson C. Smith University, which is a small liberal arts, historically Black college in Charlotte, North Carolina. And believe it or not, when I got there, I was like, I want to do communications. Then I was like, I want to do sport management. No, I want to do communications. So I kept going back and forth and ended up with 2 degrees in 4 years. So I ended up with a degree in communication arts with a concentration in public relations, and then also a degree in physical education with a concentration in sport management. So that was my undergraduate degree. Then I went to graduate school at the University of Tennessee, which I can't say because I work at Vanderbilt and they are rivals in the SEC, but that's where I went for my master's. And then I got my doctorate at the United States Sports Academy. And if I could, and I don't shout myself out, but I just found out today that I was named the 2020 United States Sports Academy Alumna of the Year. So I just got that notification today. So that was very exciting. I'm like, oh my God, this is wow. Like, wow. But yeah.
All right. So that's definitely a live wire exclusive. We want to know that you announced it here first before anything else. So definitely that is a live wire exclusive. Congratulations on that. Definitely.
Thank you very much. Shout out to the VI. Listen, everything and anything that I do is always Virgin Islands related. Like I'm always hashtagging VI Massive all day. Anybody who knows me, my Peloton name is VI Massive. Like all day, all night, I believe in the Virgin Islands. And I just feel like when we have platforms, just like what you're doing here, Shaq, we have to do the exact same thing. We have to publicize the Virgin Islands. I know we have our struggles, but who doesn't? Every place has their struggles. But we have too many good people and good young people that we need to continue to uplift them and push the good Virgin Islands name forward. So VI Massive.
Definitely. Now, I know there's trials and tribulations with anything that goes in life. Was there any point you thought that college wasn't for you, or you want to give up, or you want to come back home? Because a lot of people feel that way sometimes.
Woo! Shaq, listen, don't take me back there. In 1996, fresh off the boat, I was 16 years old. Okay, I graduated high school at 16, and my birthday's in September, so I turned 17 in college. I got to college. My father dropped me off. He stayed for about 5 days, and then he went back home. And I was like, I mean, it was like I cried for days. I mean, days, to the point where my roommate called my parents back home and was like, you guys need to come get Kristene because I don't know what's going on with her. I don't think she's going to make it. I mean, it was hard because at 16, you think you know it all. I ready, I grown, I could do whatever. And I get there and I hated it my first semester. Hated it. But my parents was like, you ain't coming home. This is not an option. So unless they're abusing you or something like that, you're not coming home. You're going to stay there and you're going to figure it out. And I'm like, guess I'm going to stay here and figure it out. And then that's how I got involved in athletics. And that's really what propelled me to stay in. But yes, there were times when it got hard being a double major, like working, because like everybody else, they could go home on the weekends. There's no going home on the weekends for me. For me to do an internship, I couldn't intern back in St. Croix. So I had to find an apartment and I had to work. I mean, I was waitressing. I was actually making really good money then too, like now that I think about it, I was making some good money as a waitress. Definitely. But waitressing, playing softball, working as an intern, doing my classes, it was hard at times. But you know what? Like, don't they always say pressure bust pipe? So you have to push. You have to keep pushing. When the times get hard, if you get knocked down 7 times, you have to get up 8 times. And that's how it is. And that's going to happen in school. It's going to happen in sport. It's going to happen in the workforce. You have to continue to keep pushing, even if you get knocked down. Every time you get knocked down, you need to get up twice as many times. And there have been times when I've gotten knocked down. I mean, but God is good. I'm a spiritual person. I always tell people I'm a cussing Christian. So I'm trying to do better with my life and not curse as much. But I am definitely grateful for all of the experiences that I've had, but it hasn't always been easy.
Now, can you tell us some of your day-to-day responsibilities? Like your give me one schedule. What did you do today at Vanderbilt?
So today, when I got to work, because remember, I'm still a mom. I have a 17-year-old son and I'm a wife. So I have things to do with them first before I even get to work. So, and then my day always starts with a devotional, a meditation, and some kind of fitness. So today my fitness was dedicated to like my Peloton. I have a Peloton bike. So I was doing some stuff there. Yesterday, my fitness was dedicated to my father. My father died about 10 years ago and he really was into like lifting and weightlifting and stuff like that. So I love to lift weights. So I dedicated my fitness to him yesterday. So shout out to Daddy in heaven. Love you to death. I know you're proud of me. But with that being said, so I get to work and no 2 days are the same. Okay, I can have a schedule. I know what meetings I need to attend. There's a sport administrator meeting where all of there's 6 of us who oversee sports. We all have a meeting. We talk about the things that's happening in our different sports or department wide. Sometimes I'll meet with the AD. I had to meet with one of our teams and some young folks. I won't say the sport, some young folks that were having some complaints. So I had to meet with them about that. I met with our human resources person. I, followed up on a bunch of emails, some Title IX stuff. I met with our strength and conditioning coaches. So like tomorrow morning, I'll go to women's basketball practice. It's their first day. Division I kicks off their practice for the 2020-2021 season tomorrow. So I'll be at work at 7:15 in the morning because they start practicing at 7:30. So, I do stuff like that. So there's no 2 days or this. Oh, and then I had to get my COVID test. So part of the Southeastern Conference, the SEC, which is where Vanderbilt resides, we have protocol that you have to be tested 3 times a week. So if I wanted to travel with our team, I have to take a COVID test 3 times a week. So I take it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Just a little swab though. Yeah. 10 seconds on either nostril and that's it. But yeah, 3 times a week I have to get tested for COVID.
Now the way they is definitely because
no. At first, and I'm glad I didn't take it when they were going all the way up in your brain cells. Because if that was the case, I wasn't going to take no COVID test. They could have that. But this one is quick, it's simple. It's just, you got to do it every couple days. And of course, sometimes when you test so much, it'll yield some false positives at times or some false negatives. So at Vanderbilt, every student gets tested once a week. Every student, and that's 12,000 students, gets tested once a week. Every student athlete, if you are in season, gets tested 3 times a week. So starting tomorrow, our basketball teams will now start getting tested 3 times a week. But right now it's football, soccer, and cross country that's being tested 3 times a week.
All right, so that's a lot of information there. That's something to be aware of. We want to have this out there for the public who's listening, in case they would decide to want to have sports here. There is another way we can combat it as well. So we'll see where we go from here as far as sports are in the Virgin Islands with this extra information being given. All right, so we actually
answered a question in the comments. So one of the questions was, who was your biggest mentor during your journey? And it's several people. Like, I can't say it's just one person, just because at different times in your life, you need different people for different reasons. So of course, my parents were always my mentors, and my sisters. My oldest sister she just retired as the principal at the St. Croix Educational Complex. So education has been in my family for years. So all of that, they've always been like mentors to me. But then there's several other people, like I mentioned Titus, who took a little scrawny, little 13, 14-year-old girl and helped her develop confidence in her ability to play a sport, and realizing that I may have been different because I wasn't a public school girl at the time, but he showed me how to develop confidence in who I was and help me along the way. There was, people at Johnson C. Smith who had to pull me to the side. I was like, listen, if you want to move on in life, you need to do some things differently. And, so like President Dr. Dorothy Kowser-Yancey, who was the president emerita at Johnson C. Smith, Diane Bordley-Suber, president emerita at St. Augustine's University. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I don't want to not call people out, because in the Virgin Islands, if you don't call somebody name, you're gonna gain some trouble. So with that being said, I ain't calling no names, but there were a lot of people who were mentors to me and still are mentors to me, because I've been in the business 20 years, but I don't know it all. I learn something new every single day. So I would just say you have mentors for different parts of your life. And remember, a mentor-mentee relationship is just that. It's a relationship back and forth. It's not just that person, and it's not just you. It has to be intentional on both people's parts for it to be successful. So hopefully that answered your question, Sherry Myers. Sherry Myers.
All right, so we're actually going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more Between the Lines presented to you guys by Livewire Sports.
I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, oh, oh, effort tampil kurban rin. Oh, oh, effort tampil kurban rin.
All right, and we are back with more Between the Lines presented to you by Livewire Sports. Kristene, you still here with us?
I'm here. Yes.
All right. So you ready for the second half? You're an athlete. You know what the second half means? The second half is always the better half, right?
That's right. Let's do it.
Let's go. So can you tell us some things that would make an athlete ineligible at the collegiate level?
Ooh, child. And listen, how long do you have? Because it's a lot. Let's just start academically ineligible. So there's, if you don't have the core courses, remember I told you have to have the core courses in math and science and in English, right? You have to have a minimum 2.3 GPA. But the NCAA has what's called a sliding scale. So the higher your GPA, the lower your SAT or ACT score has to be, and then vice versa. But the lowest you can go is a 2.3 in your core courses. So that does not include PE and art and so on and so forth. Wood shop and cosmetology. No. This is just, there it is. Exactly. You see what you need for Division I and Division II. 16 core courses, your SAT score on the sliding scale. But then also remember that 10 of those 16 has to be by your 10th semester, or excuse me, your 8th semester. So you have to have 10 of those. I said that wrong, by your 6th semester. So after you did your freshman, sophomore, and junior year, as you're entering your 7th semester before your senior year, 10 of those have to be completed. So there's that. So if you don't have that, you have some issues. If you take money, we talk about amateurism. The NCAA Clearinghouse Eligibility Center makes you complete questions. Have I received money for XYZ? If you take money, you will be ineligible. Just as you're there academically at your institution, if you don't meet progress towards degree, you hear PTD a lot, progress towards degree or satisfactory progress, you will not be eligible, and you'll be sitting on the sidelines with me watching the games. So those are some things. So to any of my people that's out there, hi Mumbai, I see you. To several of my people that are out there, if you are coaching, if you are a parent, put your foot in your child's ASS in these courses, because somebody asked the question, Taj Bates, would I be willing to assist college-bound student athletes in getting into a good college or university such as Vanderbilt? Absolutely. But guess what? They have to do their part. Schools like Vanderbilt are not run-of-the-mill, admit anybody who has a pulse and can qualify for a loan type of institution. That's not how we operate. You have to be a high achiever to get in. So I will help you. If you have high achievers, they need to apply and apply early. I'm talking starting to apply their junior year. So starting there with their PSAT, the SAT scores, taking AP courses, all of that in order to get in. But in terms of eligibility, I mean, there's a laundry list of things, but I just want to focus more on the academic eligibility part, just like what you put up on the screen. And thank you for putting that up there. You have to take those courses. You have to take the SAT and ACT and keep taking it so you can continue to get better. If there are tutoring that's being offered, take them up on that so that you can continue to improve your scores. And I guarantee you, so many institutions are looking to diversify their student population that if you are from a low-income household and stuff like that, schools like Vanderbilt, we don't include loans in our package, in our financial aid package. So what does that mean? And I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here, but I feel like it's important. Financial aid packages is just that, a package. It includes loans, scholarships, grants, and a loan you have to pay back. Scholarship and a grant you don't have to pay back, but a loan you do. So people taking Parent Plus loans, SCOG loans, direct loans, private loans, whatever to pay for college. Some institutions like Vanderbilt, like a lot of the Ivy League schools, if you are under a certain financial threshold in your family, you got admitted, you will not get loans in your package. So they will meet your need.
Wow.
Going to school there. And these schools cost like $60,000 and $70,000 a year. So the best gift that you can give to your child or somebody you're coaching is for them to graduate college debt-free. for 20 years. If I could have done it all over again, I would have been busting my butt even more to ensure I went to a school that I didn't have to owe anything. And then some schools offer presidential scholarships. It's not all athletically related, because at the end of the day, you want to have your balance. You want to pay as least amount of money as possible. But it may mean you may not play that sport. You have to be willing to know where you stand with that and what you're willing to do. So that's just my advice.
All right, so jumping back into a little bit more about Vanderbilt, can you tell us any recent success school has had as far as athletics?
Yes. So some people, if you're a baseball fan, you know about the Vandy Boys. Okay. And the Vandy Boys are a baseball team. Excuse me. They're the defending national champions, meaning the NCAA champions. Like, we are the defending champions. We still hold that title right now. Highly, highly successful program. We didn't have a 2020 season, so therefore they didn't play because of COVID, but we're still the defending champions. Our bowling team is very good. Yes, there are bowling teams with bowling scholarships. So if you can bowl, hello, people. Our women's tennis program, our women's soccer program, they're all really good. We're still trying to get our football and basketball programs to turn around. So, we're putting a little bit of pressure out there, like, hey, we need this to happen. But when you compete in football in SEC Southeastern Conference, that means the Alabamas, Georgias, LSU, South Carolina, Floridas, Texas A&M, Auburn of the world.
It's rough. It's rough.
It's men against boys. And I'm not saying Vandy are the boys. That's not what I mean. But honey, if you see and I have the opportunity to see them play in person, listen, them some big boys. It's a serious football down there, right? But we're going to do our best to compete and to be better.
All right, so now jumping back into the student process, what tips can you give our students as far as the recruiting process goes?
So here's the hard part, and I would love for somebody in the Virgin Islands to pull this together, is our people don't get an opportunity to be showcased. So in the States, you can go on recruiting visits. You can go to different, let's just use basketball. You can go to different AAU tournaments, AAU meaning Amateur Athletic Union. So it's like the, higher level, elite student athletes. And you can play in those tournaments, and coaches come and pay money to those tournaments. What I would love to see happen is St. Croix, St. Thomas, whomever can host it, to put together a tournament of the Virgin Islands kids. And I don't care if other islands come there as well. And then maybe it rotates from island to island. But I think Islanders don't get an opportunity to be showcased as much as others do. So what do? You need to have allies. So I always shout out Jareem Dowling, who is at University of North Texas, and he is an assistant basketball coach there. He does his best to help any island person, any Virgin Islander. He will help. There are 2 or 3 Virgin Islanders on University of North Texas basketball team right now. You think that's by happenstance? No, it's because Jareem reached out for that to be the case. However, and I'm going to say this, Shaq, you got to give us a good product.
Right.
You cannot come in here with some half-ass, excuse my French, I'm sorry if I'm cursing, with some half AWS stuff and think that they're going to continue to recruit the Virgin Islands. You got to send us the top-notch people, because remember that one person is representing the entire Virgin Islands. So they come in here and screw it up. That coach ain't going to never look at Virgin Island students again. So if you have top-notch people that can do well, reach out to me, reach out to Jareem, reach out to Coach Tang at Baylor, reach out to Clint at Murray State, Karen Carty, who's at Bradley University. There's several of us who are out there in the collegiate world that could do our best to help, but don't send us foolishness. They got to be willing to work and work hard. If you know your child gonna come and they're gonna struggle because it's cold, then don't send them. If you know they're gonna come and struggle because they got to work twice as hard, don't send them. Send me people that's willing to grind.
You have to be mental to go to school level. Honestly, I definitely understand what you mean with them not being ready in certain aspects. So you have to be on top of your game all around to compete at that level, to even compete academically at that level sometimes. Right. So I definitely
have to go to junior college sometimes, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because at least at a junior college, now you get exposure. and it's not as expensive as Division One. And everybody does this Division One or bust mentality. That's not how it works. There are over 1,000 institutions in the NCAA Division 1s, 2, and 3 that you can still play high level, whatever sport you want to play. So don't just get so caught up in D1 or bust. If it ain't D1, if it ain't D1, that's just not how it works. So find a school that your child can be successful at, and then help them get there. But part of that, parents, means you got to save some money, and you got to, because college ain't cheap. It is not cheap at all. So people ask me to do certain things, and I'm like, listen, I have a kid going to college next year. I can't afford to do certain things. But, that's just me talking.
No, you mentioned the junior college route because we just finished watching the NBA Finals, and Jimmy Butler, who was in the if they won, he would have probably been the MVP. He went to a junior college before he ended up at a D1 institution. So we can see instances where it works. So it's not D1 or bust. You can still make it there. The junior college route is not a bad route to go. If that's what you can afford at the moment, or that's what you feel is a better setting for you, by all means, take that. There are opportunities to move from that level onto the professional rankings as well.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. And we need to get out of this mentality of, I just want to go play professional basketball, professional this, professional that. How about you get on the back end of things and be the people hiring the people to play? That's what I do. I mean, I'm not saying I hire people to play, but because I'm on the college level, but I'm on the back end of things. So I get to make decisions about that, not just necessarily saying, okay, well, if I didn't have a career in softball, oh, well, I can't do nothing else. You got to find something to do, people. Excuse me. There's work to be done on the professional level, on the recreational side, on the college side. I mean, you just got to grind, though. You got to understand business. You have to know how to read and write. So if I'm talking to these youth of the Virgin Islands, you've got to know how to read and write. You've got to know how to turn it on and turn it off. So I can speak like this if I want to, or I could talk like this if I want to. I can change it up. Like, it don't make me no bit of a difference, but I can put two words together and come up with a sentence. And that's what we need to do. So reading and writing, while y'all here being big man and bad man with big chain and this and that, you need to be picking up a book and reading and learning about whatever it is that you want to do, getting those grades, because we don't have the luxury in the Virgin Islands of saying, okay, well, this school don't look at me, so I'm going to go to this next school or that next school. Usually that one offer is probably all you have right now. So if you don't have the grades, the coach is moving on to the next person. So don't give a coach any reason to not be interested in you. Show him or her that you have the grades, that you have the SAT scores, that you have the attitude, that you have the work ethic and sportsmanship to get into character to get it done. And then when you get it done, help somebody else up. So if you make it to that school, then you need to say, you know what, coach, we may be missing a point guard in this area. I'm telling you, my boy back in St. Croix or St. Thomas, you need to take a look at him. That's how some of these things happen. And I'm just keeping it real, keeping it 100 right now.
One of my favorite things to tell athletes are, what's better than working in the field that you love? Like, you love to play sports. Now you can work in sports for the rest of your life. Now you're always around sports now because you're working there.
Yes.
But you don't have to play. That's not the only way that you can make it in the sports world. You can be a GM. You could be an athletic trainer.
Yes.
You could be the equipment manager for a professional team. They get paid. So it's like
they get paid.
In sports. You can work in the sports world and be just as successful, basically.
Absolutely. I'll tell you this. People are like, oh, what's the difference between a historically Black college and like Vanderbilt? The zeros in the budget. That's the difference. So at Johnson C. Smith, the budget may be like $2 million. At Vanderbilt, the budget is $86 million for athletics. Okay. Athletics, $86 million is some of the numbers that I look at on a regular basis. So at the end of the day, you can grind, you can get it done. You have to be willing to put in the work, and you got to meet certain people and get your name out there and be willing to move. I lived in New Hampshire. Shaq, I am an island gal. What am I doing living in New Hampshire with snow up to my kneecaps? But guess what? is what I had to do. I would not have made it to Vanderbilt. I would have not have had the opportunity at Vanderbilt if I didn't live in New Hampshire and work at Dartmouth College. I'm just keeping it real. So everybody tell me, oh, it's cold. I don't do it the cold. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Buy a jacket. Buy a raincoat.
Get some snow boots. Get some snow tires. Buy some gloves. Wrap your head up. Do whatever. Put some hair in your hair to cover the cold, because heat escapes from your head. I don't know what to tell you, but you're gonna have to make sacrifices, and you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the one thing. Everybody wants certainty and everybody wants to be comfortable. Nothing good ever comes from a comfort zone. You got to grind, and you've got to be able to step outside of your comfort zone and know that you can do it. Listen, we are island people that deal with hurricanes. We know how to fish for ourselves. We know how to be resilient. So take that same resiliency and add it to what you want to do in life, whether it's academically, whether it's athletically, whatever you want to do, you can do it, because we are resilient people.
All right. So jumping back into the student athletes a little bit more, what does being a dual sport athlete help a collegiate athlete to get recruited?
It could, because, and the reason I say that, so I'm a proponent of not over specializing, because you could, like right now, you have soccer and basketball kids who starting to play their sport at 3 years old and not playing nothing else. All they doing is playing that on baseball. And I'm like, you have to be able to use other muscles. Excuse me. So most recruiters would love to see a kid play more than one sport, because that means the kid has the ability to deal with more than one thing at a time. Like he or she can multitask. So I'm not saying it's the be all and end all. I just think it's great to do more than one sport. My son is a basketball player, and in the spring he does track, and in the fall he doesn't do anything. So he gives his body a chance to rest. So winter he does basketball, spring he does track, summer he does basketball, fall he doesn't do anything. You have to be able to do more than one sport, because it helps your body develop in different ways. So I'm not saying that you have to do it, but please, for God's sake, do not over specialize your child, because what happens is when they get to college, they're burnt out. And because they've been doing this for 15 years, they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. My parents forced me to do this. And you know who sees that? Us on the back end. And you know who doesn't want to accept that? The parents. So
I can definitely tell that's your degree talking right there, because I learned the same exact stuff in school. So I can hear it in you, definitely.
Awesome.
Now, what does your school look for in a student athlete?
So it depends. And the reason, I mean, obviously everyone's looking for a good student, somebody who's going to graduate, someone who can contribute to the team, but you have to figure out where you fit. And as, like I've said, it doesn't have to be Division I, it doesn't have to be Division III. It just depends on where you are. So are you hardworking? Do you have a good work ethic? Are you academically sound, or is the coach who have to keep his foot down your throat to make sure you go into class and doing your homework? And you know what I mean? So there's that. Because a part of that is eligibility. And especially with Division I, if you don't hit the certain eligibility markers, then your team can be ineligible for postseason championships. Like there's a lot of little things that ties in together. So they're looking for that. Do you fit that style? You know, what type of offense is, let's say you're an offensive guy, or let's say you're a football player. Do you want to be in a program where they run the ball a lot, or do they pass the ball a lot? Like, you have to figure out where you fit. Then you have to figure out, is this institution for you? Because so many times we worry about our sport and playing our sport at this school. Well, guess what? Coaches come and go every day. Knock on wood, you can get injured. So if you can't see yourself at that institution without your sport, that's not where you need to be. So that's my recruiting advice to anybody that's in the collegiate recruiting process. If you cannot see yourself at that school without your sport, that's not the school for you. Okay, so that's my advice to you. So those are just a few things that people are looking at. Your core courses. Can you be successful academically at that institution? If you can't be successful at that institution, you probably don't need to go. Some schools are meant for STEM. Some schools are meant for, business schools. Some schools may be really good in education. Others may be good in nursing. You need to figure out what is it you want to do and find the best school that suits you. There's over 1,000 institutions there, and that's not including junior colleges. There are places for you to choose to go. You have options. You only have options if you do what you need to do and be academically prepared to do the work.
Definitely. Now, were you able to come across any Virgin Islands athletes while you were at Vanderbilt?
Not yet. So I need some, because I need some people. There's got to be, I would hope, one or two. So I need to find out from admissions. No athletes just yet. But listen, I'm on a mission. If I hadn't left Dartmouth, I was on a mission to find people to come to Dartmouth. And that may be a little bit harder to get people up to New Hampshire, because Virgin Islanders maybe not coming to New Hampshire, and I'm just being real. But it's probably easier to get them to come to Vanderbilt. So I would love to be able to help in one way or the other. We have 16 sports. I won't rattle them off, but if you want to go online, vucommodores.com, and you can see what we have. And I will be willing to put a word in. But don't send me no foolishness, Shaq. Send me real people that can compete and will do what needs to happen.
I don't know. For some reason, I'm feeling like we had, maybe it was before you got there, but I think we had a student athlete that went to Vanderbilt University.
Could be.
Yeah, we did. Actually, we did. His name is actually Kalen St. Luce. He was a baseball player from Eudora-Ken.
Really? And he played for the Vandy boys?
I think that was like between 2008 and 12. Somewhere between 6 and 12. Somewhere between.
That's awesome. Okay, I need to ask Coach Corbin about that, who's our head baseball coach. But I need to ask him about that, because if this young man did well, we need to find some others. Who are those other people? When I was growing up, we had such strong baseball teams. I'm talking J.D. Clarks, and God rest his father's soul, who his father actually played with the New York Yankees. But J.D. Clark, Terry Byron, George Bailey, Jermaine Harrison, Jermaine Lynch. Like, we had all these guys, Andrew Ralph, who were like so good, and they ended up playing at like Alabama State and some other institutions and did really well for themselves. Matter of fact, there's a scout right now from St. Croix. He has my maiden last name, which is Brathwaite. His name is Arnold Brathwaite. He's a scout for the San Francisco Giants. He's straight up from St. Croix and has been doing a phenomenal job. He's somebody else you should interview, is Arnold Brathwaite, because he's definitely in the professional ranks.
All right, so we definitely might get him on the show. I'm going to get that name written down by our producer to see who else we can get on the show here.
Okay.
All right, so would you be interested in doing a community event here in the Virgin Islands? I think I know the answer, but I'll let you talk about it.
Yes. And I mentioned the one before, whether it means working through, like, with some of my compliance people. Oh, matter of fact, there's a guy, Marcus Clark. That's who you need to talk to as well. He works with the CIAA. He used to be an athletic director, but he's straight out of St. Thomas. So he's a really good guy to talk to. And he's done some stuff in the Virgin Islands about compliance, but I would love to be able to do that more, to talk to the youth about what it means to be eligible, how you get recruited, how you develop your film and send it to different coaches. Again, the academics piece is huge, but I would love to do some sort of event like that where people understand what it takes to get to this level. And I would love to do that. I can partner with whomever would love to do that. But yes, I would.
All right. Well, you definitely have a partner in Live Wire Sports. So whenever you feel like doing that, you know how to get in contact with us. We can get in contact with you and we can get that done.
Awesome.
Your motive to push forward the Virgin Islands sports is definitely on display right now. And we love it. And we just love how passionate you are about sports and moving forward. So we definitely want to work with you if you do decide to do a community event.
Absolutely. Tell COVID go away so I can come home. I have not been home since 2017, and that was my sister. And I have to shout out my sister, who Andrea Brathwaite. She was 40 years old when she got her bachelor's degree from UVI. She has 6 children. 1 has graduated college, 4 have graduated high school. She has 2 younger ones. And when I say that I was so proud of her, I could not miss that graduation, because you talk about resiliency. I keep telling you, Virgin Islands people are resilient. And she pushed through night school, teaching full time, doing everything she had to do to graduate. So I have to shout out my sister, Andrea Brathwaite. She actually teaches at the educational complex now. But with that being said, we have to be able to help one another. Like I talk about this all the time. It is so important to me for us to be able to help each other one way or the other. And I see a question here from Michelle Huggins Malloy about if the school doesn't offer honors or AP courses, if there's should they with Khan Academy's AP. That's a good question. I don't want to tell you yes about Khan Academy. I feel like the answer is yes, but I can double check with that. But there's also like some other online schools that offer AP courses that you could probably take. So let me look into that a little bit more, and I will send a message over to Raina, and hopefully she'll be able to get the answer to you from me. Back to you, Michelle. So I want to make sure I get that answer for you.
All right. So you have our process. We're actually going to move on to our interactive segment now. You ready for this?
Yeah, let me do it.
All right, Z, you have the personality for this game right here. So this is all right. So the game is called This or That. I'm going to give you a suggestion. I'm going to give you an item, and you're going to answer me if you like this one or you like that one. All right. So it's a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
All right. So you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. And I just want to let you know that any answers that you say that I do not agree with, I might have to take you out of the show. Honestly.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Coconut or guava tart?
Guava? Hello.
All right.
No,
It look like you might have to go after the first question.
Listen, I am a guava or pineapple. No coconut for me. And my entire family are coconut tart people. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You have a very, very smart family. They know what they do. Dancing or singing?
Dancing, of course. You see my social media. I'm always dancing. Adam O is one of my favorite artists. Do you know Adam O from St. Croix?
Definitely.
Listen, he have a new song called probably, what is it called? Wait. Before, I know we busy, but I have to find it. Wait. Properly.
Definitely.
Listen, I was jamming to Properly this morning. My husband is like, what is wrong with you? But Properly is a good song. So Adam O, shout out to Adam O. So dancing all day.
All right. Johnny cake or patty? Pressure.
Pate?
You even sure?
Because both are like, that's my, listen, I took the cheap route, like 2 days ago, and buy the Goya discos, empanada discos, so I could make the meat filling and make pates. Listen, I'm like, but I love a Johnny cake. So it's neat. I have to go with both, but if I had to choose one, I'll go with pate.
That's the real question right here. You like those little flat Johnny cakes, or you want a Gucci link Johnny cake? That's all I want.
Oh, so listen, I put the little Gucci link with a fork, and you punch it in there. So people are like, you can't be from St. Croix because that's not how St. Croix to make it. I'm like, it's not a matter of how people make it in St. Croix. It's a matter of how it lasts in the oil and how it fries up, because the pockets make it fry up. But I like it to make it into a sandwich. I don't like a bunch of doughy Johnny cake. I don't like a bunch of dough. So
no, they're gonna take your St. Croix card away.
They're gonna take my St. Croix card. They could listen. All I know is that's how you to make Johnny cake, because it is delicious as such. I don't want a bunch of dough. I don't want no dough. Even though Lorraine Shack in St. Croix have the best Johnny cake, and theirs has more dough to it. That's the only one that I'll eat with the extra dough. There's a little sweeter.
I will take that. We'll take that. All right. So you are a sports lady. Nike or Adidas?
Listen, hold on. You're lucky I ain't got nothing here with me. Nike, of course.
No, I mean, I kind of figure why you said that, but I'll let it go.
Nike, I've been a Nike girl. And listen, yeah, I need to order some stuff off our Nike website tonight, as a matter of fact. But go ahead.
Passion fruit juice or sorrel?
Listen, I have passion fruit juice in my fridge now. Passion fruit.
This is real passion fruit or Welch's passion fruit?
So the only real passion fruit that exists is Island Dairies. and they're not in business anymore. So I have to go with the next best thing that I can find, which is Welch's. But that's okay. Still tastes like passion fruit juice to me.
I give you no rank for that. I'd drink the Welch's passion fruit juice too, but it ain't nothing like homemade passion fruit juice. Nothing
Listen,
like
Island Dairies. I used to love when my parents used to go shopping on Saturdays and came home with the case or the little mini cartons of Island Dairies and sometimes guava, but most of the time passion fruit. Listen, that was some good stuff.
All right, moving on. Uno or spades?
Uno.
Yes,
I feel like spades is an American thing. We need to.
I think so. I feel like
it would have been more about Uno or dominoes.
Now, how do you play Uno? Because Uno has 10,000 different rules depending on which region of the world.
Every day. The rules change every day, so I don't even know. I don't even play it no more. But Uno was what I would play.
At this point, I saw the people who make Uno actually are changing the rules now too, so they ain't sure how to play that.
Exactly.
That could start an argument. Trust me.
Yes, it can.
Bungee jumping or skydiving?
Ooh, bungee jumping. Wow. But honestly, I'm not that daring. I used to be, but I feel like in my old age, I'm 41 years old. I am. I would rather just jump in the ocean. And
I ain't doing none of them. So you by yourself. Yeah. That's it. You by yourself.
Listen, you and me both, Shaq. We'll watch somebody else do it and take pictures of them.
All right. Lose your memory or not be able to create new ones.
Oh, geez. Oh my God, that's a hard one. Not be able to create new ones, I guess, because I want to be able to create new memories. I feel like every day it's a memory. And then, I don't have a really good memory, honestly. Like I remember certain things and not a lot, but I would love to create new memories.
All right. This is the real question here.
Oh God.
I'm sure I know where you're going with this answer. But horse or Haas?
Horse.
Love it.
Horse, definitely not Haas. Just like they ain't come here or come here. Which one is it? We ain't coming here. Over here, over there.
It's hair.
It's yeah.
No.
We come here is what we doing. You're over here, not over here.
Listen, that debate right there will go on forever and ever. It will never end. Okay.
Or she there, she over here, over there, and in St. Croix, she there. Like it's too tall. And it's so crazy how that's how you know if you're from St. Thomas or St. Croix. The accents are crazy. I will tell you this. When I was at Dartmouth, there was a young woman who was on the sailing team. So Dartmouth had sailing, and she was from St. John. So it was really cool to see her from St. John, and she was team guava as well. I even had to find her, and I was like, listen, and I put her on social media, and I was like, guava, coconut, or pineapple. She was like, of course, guava. I'm like, yes, not no coconut.
All right, so you are being a very good student today, and you were answering our questions before the question segment, but we let you go because you were so passionate. We just had to, let go to the string a little bit and just let you go. But we do have another question.
Sure.
One of our viewers asked, do you need an assistant?
Listen, I'm hiring an administrative assistant now, but it's an hourly job, so I'm sure this person wouldn't want that. But tell me, what is it that you're looking for? What do you want to do, and how I could help you get there? It may not be at Vanderbilt, but I may be able to help you in some other places. I will say the world of college athletics is really hard right now because of COVID, and it has transformed college athletics where people are making cuts and even more cuts, but they're always looking for athletic trainers. They're always looking for compliance people. So if you're good and can read, like compliance ain't my thing like that. Nope, that's not my thing. But if you can read and interpret things, they're always looking for compliance people. So I would say if you're looking for a start in college athletics, athletic trainers and compliance are two areas. Sorry, I should be using this hand. This way.
We have two more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
The first question was pineapple or guava. I guess they saw that you were back and forth. So pineapple or guava tart?
Both. There's no way I cannot choose. Listen, there's a place in St. Croix called a sweet something. I don't know what. But listen, she ships tarts. and the little mini tart. Let me tell you something. That guava and pineapple tart I did an entire 15-minute social media post about them tarts. Like, that's just how important it was. So both. I can't do pineapple or guava. Is both.
Your last dessert meal. You have to pick one.
I have to pick one. Pineapple.
Oh, there we go. That's a very good choice. I still upset that you don't like coconut, but I'll let that go.
I don't like coconut. I don't like coconut cake, coconut. I like coconut, like the water, like coconut water, but the actual like stringy stuff, I don't like that. Like, and it's probably that shredded stuff that they sell up here that I just don't like. Okay, I see one question, and I'll let you get to your last question. Look at me just taking over your show. What are the types of scholarships that students can get? Any types, whether it's academic, whether it is athletic. So at big schools like Vanderbilt, we have a certain number of scholarships we can give. So like football gets 85, basketball gets 13, so women's basketball gets 15, so on and so forth. But, and those are full scholarships. At smaller institutions, you'll get a little bit. You'll get like pieces. You may get $1,000. You may get $5,000. You may get $10,000. It all depends. But there are also named scholarships that are out there. So it may be the Kristene Kelly Scholarship that is for Virgin Islands students who have a 2.5 GPA and goes to an HBCU. You just have to like dig into where those scholarships are. There are UNCF scholarships, United Negro College Fund. There are all kinds of scholarships. You just go to the institution's website and read through all the criteria for all the different ones and start applying. So hopefully that answers your question, Taj Bates.
All right, and our final question is Delta or AKA?
Listen, you gonna play with me tonight? Look right here. You see what that says? Don't play with me tonight. Do not play with me tonight. I am a member of the devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I pledged in the spring of 2000, Johnson C. Smith University. I was line number 47. Our line name was 53 issues, and my individual line name was MIA. Don't play with me. I'm a Delta, baby. Delta Sigma Theta. That's who it is. So I have elephants all over my house.
I definitely be. There's a passion again. There it goes again. Definitely running wild.
Delta. And let me tell you this, Shaq. My same sister who graduated from UVI 3 years ago. Do you know this chick called me earlier this year and she pledged Zeta? I was like, no. But no, I'm kidding. She's actually a really good Zeta, and I think Zeta is good for her. But there's only one way to go. Delta Sigma Theta. That's it.
All right, Kristene, we want to definitely thank you for taking your time out to come on here and speak to us. You gave us some very, very good information, along with a lot of laughs and smiles. Okay, we know that you are definitely somebody who is back in the Virgin Islands community, especially in the sports world, and we thank you for that and always being a helping hand. Livewire will be in contact to work with you, and again, we want to thank you for coming on the show tonight, and you did a great job.
Hey, VI massive, baby. Let me go.
All right,
bye. Thank you.
All right, Livewire fans, we will be back next week for another episode of Between the Lines presented to you by Livewire Sports. We have another special guest next week. We want to thank our producer, Miss Lorena Robinson, and our visual coordinator and director, Mr. Shane O'Neill, as well as a shout out to Leo, the third Sibley, for his introduction track that is called Born Ready. Okay, it's on all streaming platforms right now. So Apple Music, Spotify, whatever music streaming platform you use, it is there. So go up and look it up. It's Leo, the third Sibley, with Born Ready. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next week for another special episode of Between the Lines presented to you by Livewire Sports. Oh, I'm sorry, I cannot forget. Our video was done by Brilliant Designs. A big shout out to you. And before you guys leave, get a hold of our video, okay? Our brand new video is great. Watch it as we exit, okay? Thank you guys for watching again tonight.
not fine, but still I woke up today. Another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Effort and build for ready. Whoa, whoa. Effort and build for ready.